Hi, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us today on October 7th, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time. We're back here live every Tuesday, maybe not next week, but almost every Tuesday for the last 5 years. Not every Tuesday, too. Once a week, but now it's Tuesday at 4 p.m. I got to correct myself. I hate to be somewhat off because people go back 4 years ago, you're on shows on Wednesday. So once a week, let's say it that way. We take your general immigration questions, give you an idea what's going on, the kinds of cases we handle, marriage cases, family cases, adjustment of status, consular processing. People deal with reentry permits, citizenship, removal of conditions, I-751s. This is that kind of stuff that we do. We don't have the court work or immigration, criminal-related arrest kind of cases. But for general education purposes, we come here once a week to take your questions, give you an idea of what's going on. For sure, we're going to get a lot of questions about timelines. We'll do our best to answer, but it's very hard to give good answers for that. But we're here to give it a shot. Other than that, if you're interested in a fiance or marriage green card case, we have a guide called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. You just go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. That's the website. Download for free, 70 plus pages, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And we also launched our citizenship guide, the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide, 50 plus pages. It's really good. I got to really put it out there. It's really good. To download it free, just go to our website, jqqlaw.com/citizenship. Put your email address. It'll be emailed to you. Again, it's jqqlaw.com/citizenship to download that guide there and learn more about what's going on. Before you even talk with an immigration attorney, I want you to know what's going on. And so you ask good questions, not the basic. I don't want you to go ABC. I want you to do whatever next, DEF, whatever next level is. So you don't spend time asking basic questions from your immigration attorney that you're talking with. You get some good questions in there to help you figure out if they're a good choice and what options you have. The reality is if you talk with 4 different immigration attorneys, you're going to get 5 different answers. It's just how the game is. So you got to talk to a lot of people to get good decisions. It's hard going to talk to all these different people, talking about your case all over again, potentially paying consultation fees, all that. I know it's annoying, but if you want to do it right, you got to do it right, and that's the way to do it. If not, talk with us first, and you'll love us so much you won't go anywhere else. So that's probably what's going to happen. But if you want to schedule a consultation, go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact or contact us page. That's the best way to do it, and we'll respond. In the description, you write about what kind of case you have, so you have a better idea of what you're asking for. And if it's a thing like asylum or immigration court, we don't do that. So I just say we don't do that. But if it's something like you're getting married or starting a small business and stuff, those are things we do handle. And I'll respond with how to schedule a consultation and more information. Omari says, happy to see you. Same here, Omari. Thanks for coming on the show. And thank you for coming on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. I appreciate everybody. So let's get started. Shout out your questions and we'll see what we can do to help better understand the U.S. immigration process. So I got a lot of Facebook messages and stuff like that. I got to get through this all. Really, what's going on here? So thank you for joining us. I'm joining right now. We're taking your questions and about U.S. immigration law. Feel free to shoot them out. I think we're having some website and internet issues that slowed it down. Usually we have like 100 people on the show right now, and right now it's glitches where it's only 6 people or 7 people. So I'm sure people are coming on board, but maybe my internet's causing problems. The big news right now in immigration law, there's so many pieces of big news. I didn't even know where to start. When it comes to adjustment cases in the United States, they've gone faster, but there's a worry that if your case is pending and you fall out of status while it's pending, adjustment of status from I-485, historically, even now, they still approve the case, but in some cases, they're sending it to immigration court. Obviously, ICE is doing a lot more than they used to. Now they're going after, kids under 18. They're going after people at their work, at church, at schools. So that's a pretty scary situation. And in some cases, if you enter without authorization, EWI, enter without inspection, they could indefinitely detain you until your immigration court is done. Or if you have, criminal history, they could do it as well. So it's very, expensive process for U.S. people. Because a lot of people would come to court. You don't need to detain it for that long. But that's something that's happening as well. That's become a scary situation. Feel free to shoot out your questions about U.S. immigration law. Thank you, everyone. We have so many people joining right now. I think we're coming together. But shoot out your questions. We'll give you an idea of what the process entails. Now, if you are interested in a marriage green card case, things are still happening. There's some issues where you're from certain countries, there's travel bans, or their embassy is closed down, so it makes it more complex. But for most cases, if your spouse is overseas, you start with the I-130 process to show your relationship is real. About a year, this is for U.S. citizen marriages, a year and a couple months, then you get that approved, and then you go through the embassy process. If you're doing it in the United States, you can do it all at once, and it gets done much faster. We got some questions coming in. AAA, quadruple A asks, hi, John, on STEM OPT ending next year. OPT is your ability to work in the U.S. for a period of time after you graduate as a student visa holder to get experience. It's called optional practical training. Usually 1 year comes with it. But then if you're in certain majors in your school, STEM majors, science, technology, engineering, and math, Then they give you an additional 2 years after that. So here at AAA is saying my STEM OPT is ending next year, planning a PhD admission. I'm also considering asylum. With possible DS policy changes and limits on F1, should I switch to F1 first or doesn't it matter? Well, you already are on F1. If you change your schools, you'll still be on DS. Most likely, we got to see how the final rule is that they're changing for F1 student visas and taking away DS. That may not apply to you. It may apply to future ones, so you probably remain DS. The regulations haven't updated, so I can't say for sure, but you would probably be the same, so it's not that big a deal. You still are on F1, just on F1 OPT, and you could change your, contact a new school. They transfer over your CVIS record there and issue a new, what is the school called? I-20, and that's that. So probably just smooth operation, hasn't changed yet, but we're going to have to see what actually happens in the final regulations. Hamza asks, I'm asking on behalf of my cousin, can he travel with expired green card with extension letter? He does have any criminal record. I think you mean he doesn't. Also, his travel overseas for 14 days only. Is that okay? So Hamza, I can't tell you if your cousin's okay or not. But if you have a green card expired with the extension, you bring those, and there's no criminal history, there's no issues, then yeah, it's gonna be okay. But I need to review his case individually with him to see what's going on. Maria asks, hello, what could you do to fight a client deportation if the judge tells you that your client has to leave USA and they're waiting for U visa in their home country? Well, we don't handle immigration court cases. Unfortunately, you might have to listen to them. The U visa is not offering deferred action, meaning they won't keep you here until a decision is made. U visas are backed up. But my specialty is not deportation, so I don't want to give too much information on something I don't handle on a day-to-day basis. Bedazzled asks, I got marriage 10-year green card in January 2025, and my daughter, 10-year-old, who turns 16 May 2025. When will I be able to file for citizenship, and will my daughter be automatic citizen too? Well, if you got your green card January 2025, if you got it based on marriage to a U.S. citizen, you won't be able to get citizenship for another 3 years in 2028. So that's going to be in 2.5 years from now. Your daughter, I think is under 21. I think your daughter has to be. Let me double check. So probably you'll still be okay if you become a citizen. Let me double check with the dates. Or it's 18 or 21. I think it's 18, but let me double check. Sometimes I mix up those numbers because the age of 18 and 21 play in different benefits differently for a lot of government benefits. What the age of an adult is, so they all have different things. I'm just going to the M400, the citizenship application form instructions, and I should go under N600. So if you're under, if you get your citizenship based on having a green card and living with your parents, and the parent becomes a citizen while you're still minor, you should, it's not a mandatory, but I recommend, especially under this administration, to apply for a certificate of citizenship. And so N600 is the form for that. And we go to the instructions, it lists who could fall within that category. And it says, you're requesting a certificate of citizenship because you automatically became a citizen of the United States after birth, but before you turn 18 years of age. Most likely in your daughter's case, if she's 16, I had to sit and do the math if it's wrong, but I don't think it'll work because the 18 is the cutoff. So most likely it's not going to work, but unfortunately, yeah. So your daughter will probably just have to apply for her own citizenship once she turns over 18. But I haven't double-checked my dates and the math on that. But most likely she'll have to wait, unfortunately. It's a little bit of a headache there, but it's probably going to work out fine. Maria asks, we already answered Maria. Let's go to TikTok. Mink says, hi, how long does it take when you file the green card with a judge? It depends on the judge in your case. There's no fixed timelines for that. Mr. Lucien said, it's been over 2 months since my interview was canceled. Yeah, I mean, that takes a while for them to reboot. Now, we got to make sure, you're welcome, but we got to make sure there's no cancel for bad reason, but sometimes it takes forever. You might want to contact them sometimes, adjustment of status. We had one case where it was canceled because they couldn't find the file. And, I went there in person and said, hey, what's going on? I was able to get them to schedule it. It doesn't always work that smoothly. I'll just at the immigration department for another case. And I'll say, hey, what's going on, man? Let's get it going. You're welcome, Maria. Bird says, thank you for this show. I have an I-130 approval. It's been 3 months, but I-45 still says review. Yeah, that could happen, unfortunately. Fahim says, my friends, I don't have an answer. I mean, somebody's got to wait. My friend's naturalization took 17 months, but she's still waiting for an interview. Yeah, I had someone leave a comment that was like, why don't you give an exact time on citizenship? What's worthless video? But that's the reality. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 months. Sometimes it takes 2 years. And quoting that variance, 2 months to 2 years is so worthless to me. That's it's going to take how long it's going to take to see what the government says on their website. But I don't want to say, if I say, 6 months and it's taking 17 months, then you'd be like, oh, John doesn't know what he's doing. But it's reality. It's just the government is very, very, all over the place. Quadruple A says, also, John, I got an NIW RFE. I'm sorry to hear that. And then a denial. I'm sorry to hear that. It looks like they didn't really review my RFE response. That happens. I'm refiling, but do you think it's better to appeal to, or chances are very low for NIW appeal? It really depends on what arguments you're making on appeal. If you have some good arguments and they really didn't look at what you sent, then appeal may be the way to go. It's very case specific. I won't be able to generally answer something like that without reviewing the whole thing. And then even then, it could go either way. A lot of times people just file new, but it's more expensive filing fees. Kelton Shields asks, is 9 months for work permit for adjustment status to marriage normal? It is and it isn't. Normal is like 2 or 3 months right now, but it's also normal for 20% of the time for it to take 9 months. So that's pretty, the norms are this. Most cases get a work permit 2 or 3 months, and then some cases take 9 months. And not even in between. It's not even 5 or 6 months. It's like 2 or 3 months or 7 to 9 months. That's how we've seen it. So it is normal in the bad way. He said me that file, it's on the field office. So I don't know. See, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. User 49 says, how long did it take to approve the waiver I-601? Thank you. It's taking 2 to 4 years right now for a waiver of the I-601 to be decided. Khalees asks, if a U.S. citizen marries someone who's not have active status in the U.S., will this put them at risk? Not the marriage itself, but if they're here without authorization, you file something, as per around May 2025, the Trump administration may pick them up at like an interview or something like that for the I-130. So it's a devastating situation that was never done before, but it's the Trump administration doing crazy things that it's never done before, really making it hard on people. Malik says, what if you get married and have not filed yet and ICE comes to you? Well, they come for you. You got to start the marriage case if you have a valid case. You have all the stuff. Now, your marriage being valid, but you have the other stuff you need. Cypress says, how many years siblings I-130 takes? Well, it depends on what country your sibling is born in. Some countries take longer than others. For example, Mexico is the worst. And the timelines they give us change every month. So for the better or worse, it doesn't always move forward. Sometimes it moves backwards. So any time I give you right now, it's not set in stone. It could get worse. It could get better. But for example, they're saying that for most people in the world, for brother and sister cases, sibling cases, if they file their case in January 8th, 2008, right now they're getting their green cards approved. But we could go in next year, you contact me on the show and say, hey, what's going on? When is it? I'll say, oh, it's still people in January 8th, 2008. Those are the ones it hasn't moved forward. So that's possible. Now, if you're from India, it's November 1st, November 8th or the year? It's in November 2006. In Mexico, it's April 2001. In Philippines, March 2006. But these timelines don't necessarily move up normally. Kelvin said, we had our interview 4.5 months ago with no results either. Sorry, I got a mosquito on my face. I got to see what's going on. There's issues, but sometimes it takes that long. We just had one case that was taking 4 months in New Jersey, and the client was really worried, and it got approved. Another one in Colorado. It's been around 2.5 months. They're getting worried. But most of the cases get done pretty quick, and then random ones take longer. And some people have problems because their marriage interview went bad, so it takes years to get that fixed. So hopefully it's not one of those. Kayo says, if you had an I-130 approved and have removal proceedings, how can you apply for I-601 waiver? You apply for it. I'm not an I-601 specialist, but they put you in a bad situation, fortunately. Kelton says, the officer said he'd approve. Yeah, that's the thing. They say that, and then they don't do it. Maybe write him a letter, say, hey, what's going on? It could help you make a decision or provide you anything extra. That may be the way to go. Okay, Cypress Discount Shop. So I answered your question already. Carissa says, if I had one lawyer advise me to keep low and another advise me that you get married sooner rather than later. Well, Chris, I don't remember a previous question, but the thing is, if the spouse is caught and they go to immigration court and then you get married, there's a higher standard of proof to show the marriage wasn't real and not to show that you didn't just get married, now they're in immigration court. So if you are planning to get married no matter what, whether deported or not, your love is there and you want to be married one way or another, then it's better to get married before they're caught in that sense. But if you start the I-130 process right now, again, as of the last few months, there's a chance that they might be sent to immigration court. And if they enter without inspection, that means they enter without permission. It creates a lot of problems. Now, unless they have some sort of exception, which is rare. Kelvin says, could this CHM be related, as that's how my wife came to the United States? So I had one CHMV case approved already. It took about like 2 months after the interview. We were really worried about it because of this, but I've been seeing it approved. I've U4U cases, the Ukrainian version of that parole program. I have one that's taking forever, but and the work permit too. But I haven't seen CHMV. I haven't seen it, but other people may have. Mike says, how much does it cost to file a green card marriage base? What is it depends on what kind of green card marriage base it is. Marriage U.S. citizen or green card holder in the U.S. or outside. If they need a joint sponsor or not. If there's inadmissibility or waiver related issues in the past. If they have birth certificate or passport or other document issues. How much relationship evidence you do have. And some more questions. So we have to have a consultation session in private, and they can take it from there. But if you want to, first I would say download our guide, the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Again, that's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Download that, and then schedule a private consultation. Ina says, good night. Can I send a private question? No, it's a public question, or schedule a private consultation by going to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Jim Nays says, send a motion to reopen a wrongful deportation order. It's been more than a year and had no answer. We don't handle those kind of cases, so I can't respond to that. Cypress says, my mom's 65 plus can't speak English. She is a green card holder. How can I apply for citizenship? You got to see if one of the exceptions applies to her, either health-wise or based on her age and how long she's been a green card holder. We don't specialize in that, but if you go to the citizenship website, you can find the rules for that. Molly says, besides marriage certificate and courthouse marriage, what else needed to file? Check out our guide, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Jim says, I can do my adjustment of status. Okay. Malik says, if you're a Muslim, you still have to do courthouse marriage. What do you do if your own traditional way? The marriage has to be recognized by the government, civil government, or there may be some exceptions, but we got to see what country you're from to see if it's within some sort of exception. So you have to analyze the marriage there. Quadruple A follows up. If someone's on F1 and after the F1 ends, they only have a pending asylum, can they still file I-485 for NIW? Nope. Or switch to H-1B or perm based on pending asylum? It's not status for those. No, it's not status. I've seen rarely the immigration office will approve, but most of the time they'll deny, saying you're out of status at this point. You might have asylum pending, which is a period of authorized stay, which it's technical, but it prevents you from accumulating all of present stays for the 3 or 10-year bar. But no, like if you came to me wanting to file adjustment of status, I'll say 1 out of 100 times that they approve that. I probably wouldn't accept the case if you force it to me. I'd have you sign a disclaimer that says most likely going to get denied. PZ says K1 or I-130. Normally it's I-130. I have a detailed video on this on YouTube. Just go JQK Law, K1 versus fiance visa versus marriage case, and I'll go into all the details of why. Rewards loyalty is asks if an immigration judge makes a decision and DHS waives appeal, is that final or can USCIS ignore? They can do whatever they want. They can still do whatever they want. Or even if it's illegal, they'll just government does illegal things too. Mary says, good evening. Good evening to you. Hassan says, Abu Dhabi Embassy, how long is it taking for interview to be scheduled? Well, it depends on what kind of interview you need, what kind of green card case it was. But if you go to Google and you type in DOS, like the Department of State, DOS IV tools, the first link that comes up on the Department of State's website will take you to a site. You type in the visa category, immediate relative, family sponsored, employment based, and you type in Abu Dhabi in that box underneath it, and it'll give you estimates of when they're scheduling interviews for people based on when their case was documentarily qualified. So that's the answer to that. Long answer. Malik said, after you got married, you file next day or you wait for a year. Is that going to affect your case? After getting married, it doesn't matter when you file by itself. It really depends on your case and your background, the issues that exist. So the marriage date and filing date, whether it be a day or part of your part, doesn't make a difference. But it's other factors that you're not talking about here that play a role in making that decision. Dane asks, filing FOIA with USCIS affect or delay your pending N400? It probably won't affect it. Everything's digital now, so it's easier for them to pull it up. It won't affect like it used to. Coop says, what is the current asylum processing time for an interview? It depends on the location you're interviewing with. I don't have that answer. Mary says, can someone travel to another state with your USCIS receipt? USCIS does not give any travel authorization of any kind. So whether you could travel to a state, everyone's free to travel, but if you run to ICE and you don't have status, there's always a situation you might worry about. Hassan says, CR1 case, Abu Dhabi Embassy, DQ 1 month ago. So it's back to Abu Dhabi's pretty terrible when it comes to that stuff. They're saying DQ in 2023. So they're like 2 years, a year and a half backed up. Probably closer to 2 years. Leo says, question, if you were given a green card as a child, are you able to say that at your interview or will they ask for more information? What kind of interview are you doing? What have you done with the green card? Do you remain living here or not? Do you have other issues? So it may come up, but it's just a bigger context we need to know about the situation you're talking about. So we need to know more information. It's not something I can answer with that limited amount of info. Salah says, I applied for a K1 visa this August. When can I receive my NOA2? So immigration lawyers don't say NOA2 and stuff. That's for self-help people on their websites. You just say, when can I get a receipt or approval? We just keep it normal. But K1 could be 6 months, could be 18 months average. Koob says, what is the current asylum process in Portland? I don't do asylum law, so I don't keep track of asylum offices. Portland, I don't think has an asylum office, but again, I don't do asylum law, so I don't know the timelines that it takes. Leo says naturalization. Okay, I mean, Leo, again, I need more information. Why are you worried about your green card as a child? Do you mean like, will they ask how you got your green card? Maybe something we look at to make sure it's proper. Because if they gave you the green card incorrectly or you had problems with it in the past, then that's something that could lead to you being deported. So, like, I had one guy who filed his marriage green card case before he could have. The timeline didn't work out, but the government didn't notice and still gave him the green card. And they came to me for citizenship, and I kept saying, give me all your files. Like, no, I'm good, and I don't need to pay a consultation fee. I don't need it. I'm good. And I said, okay. Eventually, he gave in, and we had a consult, and I saw him like, look, they gave this green card. You're supposed to file your case 2 months later. You filed it 2 months early. They still approved the case that it was incorrect. So if you go in and do it, they're going to find that out, and they're going to take away your green card, deport you. So that's that. And he was really angry at me. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I didn't make the mistake. Your previous lawyer, he hired somebody who wasn't a immigration lawyer to just do it, and they didn't pay attention. He says, I do this every day. You got to pay attention. So when you're telling me like, what should I wear? I need to sit and talk with you to get to know you. Malik says, if you file a marriage-based green card, how long does it take to get a green card? Work permits? Well, I talked about this earlier, Malik. Work permits, it depends if you're married to a citizen or green card holder or your background kind of issues. It could be 2 months. It could be 9 months. It's all over the place. A lot more details needed, but even then, we got to get more information. Lamine says H-1B. Please put your full question there. Leo says, parents got their green card. I was given a green card as a child. Sure. Leo, you keep giving me answers, but I can't give individual legal guidance here. I got to sit and talk with you, learn about your life. So this isn't the place for that. Please schedule a private consultation, jqqlaw.com/contact. Abdul says, please, how about SIJ? Any hope for us? Some people, yes. Unfortunately, they're cracking down on that. Leo says, thanks for answering. You're welcome. Malik says, U.S.-born citizen. Okay, I don't remember which question was, but we can't get too much into like the details of this stuff. And Leo, thanks for understanding. I appreciate that. But we got to really learn about what's going on in your lives to really answer a lot of this stuff. Okay, we got a time for some more questions right now, so feel free to shoot them out. As I mentioned earlier, for people asking these kind of unique questions, is people like we'll be talking for half an hour, and then the 30th minute, right before the meeting's done, they'll mention, "Oh yeah, I had this issue," or I had cases where people we talk like an hour and then work on the case for 3 hours, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I forgot I had this marijuana charge that I forgot to tell you about." And I'm like, "You went to jail for marijuana, and 4 hours into the case, you're about to file your memory now." So that's why, like, as immigration lawyers, and I can never trust what people tell me. I have to look at the documents, do background checks, and ask the same question 5 or 6 times. Just because I've been in this game for so long and I've had so many people say one thing and then we got the paperwork, so another. So there has to be a natural distrust of what people tell me before I can give advice. And that's why I can't give advice here. And I hate to say it, distrust my clients because they trust me and all this kind of stuff. But keeping it real, that's like, it's my job to act like I'm the government and find out problems before the government finds out and give you your options and say, listen, you have this problem and so we can't move forward. And every time someone says they got an easy case or simple inside, every time it's problems in that case. I never once had a client where they still have an easy, simple case, just what's the price, and then we dig into the case and a big problem didn't emerge from it. So that's why, just from experience, we got to go. Now, in this show, we kind of talk about general stuff so you know what's going on, but we really got to dig in deep to see what's going on. All right. Sammy asks, excuse me, can you speak Farsi? I can, but not on this show. This is an English show, but if you want to schedule a private consultation, we could do that in Farsi. Although my emails, I don't type Farsi. I have to be in English. You can write in Farsi, but it's big hard for me to read it. Then he says, my FOIA request in line 112 says 44,000 cases. Should I expect it any day now? On the website, it'll say how long you expect it. I don't know what their timeline is. If you're 112, probably. They've been going faster with FOIA requests with USCIS, but how long it'll actually take to get this done, who knows? That's up to them. Sometimes things stall or get lost. Or the problem nowadays with Freedom of Information Act requests, for those who don't know, this is when you request a copy of your file from the government. We do this frequently with USCIS, Immigration Department, because people may have, again, for citizenship cases, we got to see what happened in their previous student visas, their previous green card cases, removal of conditions. So we have all the documents, you know what's going on. The nasty thing the current administration is doing is they're giving us a copy of the file, then they're redacting every of it. They're putting like a page of full information and then drawing a black grid all over it so we can't read anything. Then they're going to give us like, 1,500 pages or just a black grid, a PDF of just pages that black everything. And it's just like nasty. It's like, well, it doesn't give us any information on what's going on. Now, they're entitled. People are entitled to this information. There's nothing like secretive, but these are the borderline illegal things that they're doing. And people got to sue and pay money, and it takes years to get them to fix it. And so a lot of people, it's like, oh, I don't need a lawyer, or like, this is like easy. It's like, no, they're coming to get you. They're firing anyone who's reasonable from the department. I can't say anyone. There's good people in the immigration department, but they're firing judges that don't go their way. They're hiring new people and saying, listen, our job is to, investigate and attack these immigrants, all this kind of stuff. And so, got to be cautious and be careful. It's worrisome, really, what's going on with the administration and how they're handling things. Gio says, what's your guess for the November visa bulletin? I don't really guess on these things. Mr. Emial Serafalad says, can we talk about DV lottery winners and what restrictions affect their chance for passing the interview? Yeah, I mean, let me know what kind of stuff in specific you have. You have an education requirement for the green card lottery. When you submit it, I don't think for new people, you have to have a valid passport. The big problem is when people fill out their DV green card lottery application, initial one, and the answers aren't perfect about family, spouses, marriages, divorces, spelling the name correctly, and that'll lead to automatic denial if they notice it, which they should. Also, if you have any criminal history or inadmissibility issues, it's general stuff, but we kind of see what's going on in your case. Sammy asks, do you accept immigration cases? Some cases, yes. Some cases, no. Go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. And there, if you see on the bottom left where you're watching it, is the bottom left on that show? Let's see what I'm pointing to. There's a delay for me to see that video. But anyway, so you could, and then fill out the box to tell us what kind of case you have. And then if it is something we handle, we can schedule a consultation. You ask, how much is your consultation fee? It depends on the case you have. So please, some cases are more complex, higher fee. Some places are less complex, lower fee. So go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill that out, and we'll let you know in a reply email. Mr. Yao says, thank you as well. Thank you, too. All right, I think we're hitting the 30-minute mark pretty soon. We're at 4:30 here, but I started the show a little bit late, so I'll give you a couple more minutes. If you have some questions, feel free to shoot them out, and then we'll call it a day. Next week, I'm probably not going to be here, but I'll catch you all next week after that. Can I make it next week? Probably. I'm going to be traveling. If I get to the place in time. Sammy says, can I send you a direct message? No, Sammy. You got to follow the directions. jqqlaw.com/contact. Please, just easy enough. Just do that. All right. So I guess with that, we're going to call it a day today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Immigration Lawyer John Khosravi. As I mentioned, the best place is to go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill in the boxes there, and we'll reply to you in a timely fashion, and we'll take it from there. Thank you, everyone. God bless. Azim Butts, good to see you again. One of our old regulars, one of the originals, could come visit the show. I appreciate that. Until next one, God bless. Be safe. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye. You're welcome, Danny Bishek.